We're going to go ahead and record how 317 helps prepare us for REA. So 317, we did that really quick blast through. You took notes on 2 different campaigns. We had the Green Belt movement with Wangari Maathai and how she wanted to prevent soil erosion and have a sustainable fuel. And you also saw the example of freerice.org, where playing online video games helps support donations of food to people in need. So how is seeing these 2 examples of campaigns preparing you to develop your own on an issue? Once you've got that done, go ahead and flip your bookmark to the backside. And with activity 317, it helps practice 2 out of the 10 concepts your EA will be graded on. First, it helps you practice concept 3, the idea of having features necessary for a campaign. And last, it helps you practice concept 7, of having a clear call to action. So once you've got those written down, you can put that bookmark away. You're going to want a highlighter. And your Springboard open to page 221. Once you're at 221, go ahead and diffuse those learning targets. There's 3 of them this round. This activity is going to have us practice 3 items. We're going to identify media types, we're going to evaluate campaigns, and you're going to sketch an appeal. We're going to be tackling all 3 of those, and it's going to go pretty quick, believe it or not. So step 1 is having you answer a relatively simple idea here. Elise, could you read number 1 for us? Okay, the types of media channels that are out there. Go ahead and start rattling them off. You can think about the ones that we're doing for our campaign. You can think about other types that are out there. Okay, before we take a touch with step 2, just a really quick review of what a target audience is. So in the right-hand side of your page, the academic vocab of target audience, I really like how Springboard really identified how do you identify an audience. So the target audience is your specific audience. These individuals are defined by age and gender, education, interests, experiences. So for some of you, when you were planning what your campaign was going to be about, generally you kind of stuck with an age bracket, but break it down even further from that. Who exactly is this person that you want to make a change? So you might want to go back to your development of your campaign and maybe rethink exactly who is this person that you're going to make this campaign for. Who do you want to target to really strive for that call? So in terms of step 2, the first question is pretty dang simple. It's the academic vocab itself. But the second question I think is pretty interesting. And I'm going to give you a note that I'm going to ask you to copy down for step 2. In terms of how an audience can affect the development of a campaign, go ahead and copy down this information. Those characteristics of a target audience, they're known as a demographic. So the person's age, the gender, the interests, the education. That should really fuel what your final campaign looks like. When you're kind of marketing, essentially, to someone in particular, you've got to think about who they are and what makes them interested. The way a 5-year-old looks at a commercial is going to be completely different than the way a 55-year-old looks at a commercial. So let's give it a practice round. What interests a 5-year-old? How do you kind of con them to listen? Yeah. Okay. Toys. Colors.
Talking animals.
Talking animals. Yes. Cartoons. Music. So when you folks are thinking of a campaign, if you have a more childlike audience, these are items to consider adding into your develop. How about your age group? What intrigues a teenager in today's age? I heard drama. Is that for real?
Yeah.
Did you say drama? Or did I totally make it up? Nicholas, did you say drama?
No.
Oh, I thought you said drama because that's funny. I totally believe that. What do you think, Dupree? Money. What else?
Coffee.
What was that?
Coffee.
Coffee for real?
Yeah.
You guys are drinking coffee already? Famous people. Okay. Elise? One more time. Meetings? Yeah, so maybe if you're thinking about trying to get your teenager audience, maybe you guys will develop a meme. Just things to think about.
Humor.
Humor, 100%. So the way that you would intrigue a child versus intriguing your own bracket, look how different that was to get people intrigued and interested. All right, now right below steps 1 and 2, we have this really simple article on something called a public service announcement, or a PSA. Okay, now a PSA is a specific type of campaign, and I know you folks have seen them before. Let's do a quick read-through of it. I'm just going to ask for volunteers to take each one of those chunks of the text. Go ahead and start us off, Michael.
Broadcast media, radio and television are required by federal communications and FCC that serve the public. Most stations use PSAs as one of the ways they meet this requirement. While they aren't required to donate a fixed percentage of airtime per day to PSAs, stations do have to state in their licensing and renewal applications how much airtime they plan to devote to PSAs. Most stations donate about a third of their commercial funds to non-commercial causes. In other words, if the station has 18 minutes of commercials in a given hour, 6 minutes of that will probably be devoted to PSAs.
Go for it, Taylor.
Public service announcements for PSAs are short used on film, videotape, DVD, audio tape, or as a DVD computer file, and given to radio and television stations. Generally, PSAs are sent as ready-to-air audio or video tape, although radio stations sometimes prefer scripts that their announcers can read live on the air.
Awesome. Third one, go for it, Victoria.
In 2022, public service announcers have been enforced to persuade the public about a variety of issues.
Okay, that last chunk, go for it, Max.
If people find an ad or PSA interesting enough, they might talk about it with a friend or share it online. When this happens, many more people receive the intended message.
Okay, so with the PSA, before you turn the page, there's one really quick question that I'm going to give you a nice response to. So the key idea in detail is asking us, how do we know that a PSA is not intended for a commercial purpose? It's really relatively simple. They're not trying to sell you anything. There's no money to be made. They're not asking for a donation of money. They just want you to be informed. So I'm sure you folks have seen PSAs as commercials. I'm sure you've heard them on the radio, and I'm sure you've seen them as print. So today we're going to look at 2 types of PSAs. We're going to look at print variations, and we're going to see some commercial variations as well. All right? So let's take a look at page 222. Once you've got this note, go ahead and turn it over. So step 4 is telling us, let's take a look at 3 different PSAs. And it brings up the term of evaluation and evaluating. So we're just going to real quick have you take a note on evaluate, make those marks. And evaluation, it's not necessarily a yes or a no, a like or a dislike. There's a set of criteria that you have to respond to. So the criteria that we're going to respond to with our evaluation is going to be the description, the clarity of the message, the use of visuals, and the effectiveness. So I'm going to go through one print PSA with you folks. So we'll complete the first row together. Then the second and third row, you're going to do without me. You can work with a partner. You'll be able to move around the room. Okay? So let's take a look at our first PSA. I'm going to show you two variations of it, but it's the same exact campaign or message. So it is for littering. Here's the first variation of that print. What do you folks see? Yeah, Max? Okay, Max pointed out the wrappers say pig. What else do you folks see? Jackie? Okay, there's trash on the floor. What else? Are these name brand products?
Yeah.
Are you guys consumers of these products at all?
Yeah.
Maybe some of you are, maybe some of you aren't. What do you see as a slogan? What's a message that's being sent to us, Terry? Literally says a lot about you. Okay, let's take a look at a second variation. Same campaign. Here's the second variation. I love that reaction. You see what it says and you're like, oh, burn.
Shots fired.
Yep, shots fired. Wow. Okay, Kristen's telling us Canada knows where it's at, so she noticed the Toronto mark at the bottom. Canada was having a severe problem with littering, so this was a campaign that they developed early last year. So they were taking these wrappers and putting these items together. All right, now in terms of our evaluation, we have to look at these 4 criteria. I'm going to help you out with the first one. I'm going to provide you the information. The second through fourth, you're going to have to respond to. So this PSA's name, littering, says a lot about you, which is also their slogan. Okay, the purpose, you folks could probably tell me. Purpose is don't litter. The audience, we could argue who the target audience is. I just decided to put down it's an individual that's not putting their trash away. They're not putting it in a receptacle. They're just going, whatever. Kind of like what happens in our hallways, in our classrooms. Last but not least, in terms of content, it's the type of PSA. So this is a print campaign. So that's the first evaluation criteria. The second one is the clarity of message. So there's 2 questions I'm going to have you answer. 1, what's the issue? And 2, what's the call to action? Don't worry about writing incomplete sentences. You can just bloop, bloop, and call it a day. Pretty easy. Third criteria, the use of visuals. So very simply, what did you see? The more specific you are, the better. You can just make it a list of bulleted points. You can talk about one or both if you want. Okay, when you're ready for it, the last criteria is effectiveness. So 2 questions. First, do you think audiences are going to notice this advertisement or this PSA? And second, do you think audiences would respond to the call to action? Would they do what they're asking people to do? Okay, so while you folks were finishing this up, I was setting aside 5 new PSAs, the ones that you haven't necessarily seen before. What I'm going to have you do is walk around some of you saw where I was placing them. We've got 3 that are magnetized, 1 on each of the whiteboards. I have 1 PSA on the stack table, and then there's a final one right in front of the computer table on Family 1's section. So what I'm going to have you do, I'm going to give you 8 minutes. I want you to walk around, find 2 PSAs that you think are pretty intriguing, and I want you to complete that same evaluation that you did with the first PSA, but this time you'll do it without me. So if you want to pair up, if you want to work as a group, you can do that as well. But again, you only have 8 minutes to complete both evaluations. Ready? Go for it. All right, seems like most of you are done, so I stopped you a smidge early. I think all of you got to see what each one of the PSAs was about. I'm just going to do a quick scroll through each one in case you didn't get to see it. So we had a PSA about something called breed legislation. That's the idea that certain breeds, they're being essentially canceled from states. They're not allowed in certain states. They're not allowed in certain apartment complexes just because the breed supposedly has a bad name associated with it. The 3rd campaign was for having smoke-free environment. The 4th, cyberbullying. The 5th, animal adoption, which I think that's hysterical. And the 6th, of homelessness or poverty. So those were the 5 that were provided for you folks to take a look through. And now what I'm going to ask you folks to do is actually pull out your raw notebook. Now all we're going to be doing is setting it up. This is going to be our 17th entry, and we're going to call it campaign analysis. So you folks got to see print campaigns of public service announcements. The next part that we're going to take a look at are commercials of these different PSAs. Now, the campaigns that you're going to be analyzing on Monday, they're not ones that we're going to be looking at today. I'm just going to give you some examples. But I want you to have this all set up. That way, Monday, all you have to do is blast through this entry, and the rest of the time is for you to develop your campaign. I just want to make sure that you've got the maximum amount of time for next week. So the entry, it's a chart. It's up to you if you want to make it a horizontal or a vertical chart. That's all you. So these, the left-hand column, these campaigns, they're the titles of those campaigns. And what you end up doing is analyzing it based on the 3 persuasive appeals. So with pathos, what kind of emotion do we end up feeling when we see those campaigns? Ethos, what kind of credibility, reliability, trustworthiness is actually coming from these campaigns? And third, with logos, what are any types of facts, any research that's been developed or utilized to make these campaigns? So again, these 4, the cooties awareness, stroke awareness, those you're going to be taking a look at next Monday, but we're just getting this set up. What I am going to have you do today is I'm going to give you an opportunity to just look and enjoy the PSAs that I'm showing you. So I'll be showing you a PSA today that has more of a serious tone. I'll show you a PSA that has a humorous tone, and then I'm going to show you something called a mock PSA, so it's fake. But it'll start giving you an idea of how these campaigns look. They may have been ones that you've seen before, they may not be. Once you've got your entries set up, you can close your raw. Again, we're not going to be filling in this chart until Monday. If you don't have it entirely finished, that's okay too. You're going to see it again on Monday. But for now, I want us to go ahead and get started with these campaigns.